do we just do that LFFA then? I think it's mostly procedural for this one. Okay. Ooh, look at these. Okay, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Santa Cruz Library Facilities Financing Authority.
Chair Bernard.
Here.
Jane Goldstein.
Here.
Scott Hamby, alternate for Jenny Haruyama.
Here.
And Nicole Coburn, alternate for Susan Moriello.
Sure. Here.
I was one of my text.
I was driving.
Well, I said that a minute ago, you must have been parking.
Yeah.
She's a law-abiding person.
I like that. Yeah.
All right. So with that, we will then move on to item 2, which is additional materials.
We did include a memo from Susanna Carroll about the bond sale, which occurred today.
Right.
And
Right.
I have Edith here to report on it if you're interested.
Here, would you like to report on it?
I'll just stand over here. So we included the complete letter from Suzanne so that you can look at it later and share it with your county and city staff. But good news, as of 9:30 this morning, we had done our bond sale. And as the document reports, we had 6 bids, which was great. And our effective interest rate is 3.318. And the benefit, one of the great benefits to talk about is, when we had to do our projections early on to try and figure out how much what was our estimated interest rate, how do we think the financing would look. And the interest rates were a little lower than we had anticipated, which is good in this case to have lower interest rates. So we think we'll have about a $70,000 a year reduction in terms of our bond payments. So as I was speaking with Capitol earlier, in a few years we will want to take a look at this after we've done all of our bond sales and then look and see how much our debt service actually is and see if you want to make any other changes if there's extra funds to allocate.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you, Edith. Then we can move on to item 3, which, any members from the public would like to speak on this item? Okay. Item 3 is additions and deletions to the agenda.
No.
Thank you. Next is oral communication, which is on the agenda for anybody who wishes to speak to the board on items that are not on the agenda but within the scope of the library facilities financing authority. So anyone would like to speak on these exciting and interesting matters?
They are. Very exciting. Very exciting.
All right, well, I'll have to have you do at least a 2-hour presentation.
Sure, I'm shocked. If money is shocked.
All right, great. Then we'll move on to the next item, which is the executive director report. So let's see if there's no...
There's no additional information.
Okay, great. Next item is project updates and comments by board members. All right. Updates from anyone?
We're moving forward in Capitol. We're really excited. We're still on track to break ground early next year.
The board just recently approved the contract amendment for Kilmesser for Felton, so I think he's going to be working with the interior designer around the building.
Great. I guess we've put together the library advisory committee for the Birmingham branch, and they're having the first meeting coming up here.
June 14th, 6:30 p.m. and the council chambers of the city.
And we selected a consultant.
I still haven't gotten the architectural agreement signed, so I think I can't officially announce it until then.
That'll be coming. All right. Any other comments by board members? All right, then we can move on to the consent calendar. There's some items on there. Maybe you would like to pull or comment on?
Consent.
Any member of the public would like to comment on the consent items? Just minutes and the year of closing statement? Okay, take a vote then. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That passes unanimously. Let's let's see, doesn't look like there's general business. And the next scheduled meeting is August the 4th at the downtown branch. And that's it. We can adjourn. All right. Okay, so we'll adjourn that and open up the next meeting, which is a meeting of the Santa Cruz City County Libraries Joint Powers Authority Board regular meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Chair Bernal,
Here.
Nicole Coburn for Susan Moriello,
Here.
Jamie Goldstein,
Here.
Scott Hamby for Jenny Haruyama.
Okay, we're all here. Next, we have presentations. Presentations?
No.
Presentations. Any additional materials?
We have supplied to you the March 17th audited expenditure report from Marcus. We also have a new spreadsheet that we'll be going over as part of the budget.
Okay, so this will be for our budget discussion. Okay, thank you. Next, we have oral communications. Is there anyone under oral communications? Nobody, yeah. All right, then we'll move on to report by library director.
So I'm very, very, very excited to announce that the pilot project for the expansion of hours begins tomorrow. And we'll be holding a celebration at all 10 libraries. We would love to have you attend. We expect wonderful things and we'll report back to you on the status of how that is all working. All of the rest you have already.
Do you know the time of the celebration in Capitol?
I think it's sort of an ongoing all day.
All day. Okay.
You won't miss it if you go anytime.
Except at 3 in the morning, you might.
I'll go during open hours.
Pardon me.
But Jamie, I'd love for you to just stop by and say hello to the staff.
Yeah, they would
Give them the opportunity to thank you for all of your.
I'll do my best.
Ready. Okay, thank you. Is there any comments from the public regarding item 6? Next is a report by Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Libraries. Yes.
I'll try to go quickly here. We had several events going on this last couple of weeks. Last weekend, we made over $10,000 at our book sale, the Civic. And the week before that, the Felton chapter made over $4,000 for the Felton Festival. Theirs is still going on. I'm not sure if you saw today in the Sentinel this beautiful picture of a horse. That's one of their garden sculptures, and they're having those all being auctioned off till June 20th? 16th. So you can go online to the Felton Friends and find out. And this last week, we wrote a check for a little over $2,200 to the libraries for the summer reading program. And that included contributions from Selma Beach, Aptos, and the Scotts Valley chapter for all of the programs in the summer reading. If you want to know about other events, we have a new events tab on our Friends page, and you can find out things like this Saturday, there's a book sale at the Scotts Valley branch. And Selma Beach is going to be having their very famous sand sculpture workshop on June 10th. And then here, they're going to have their last day of schools event with root beer floats on June 8th.
It's really busy.
Yeah.
Summer is our busy time.
Yeah, that's great. There's a lot of weather in town. Great, well, thank you. Are there any questions?
You said the book sale on Scotts Valley was this Saturday?
Yeah. I'm not sure the hours though, sorry.
That's all right. I'll take it. All right. Any other questions from board members? Any other comments from members of the public? Good. Okay, well, thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to report by Library Advisory Commission.
I can just say very briefly, it was
Susan included it in her written report. We basically heard a presentation by the Friends and what they're up to and trying to understand that. And a lot of the people on the commission, of course, are involved with the projects in their jurisdiction. So we did a little update amongst ourselves and trying to figure out how to work, coordinate better with the Friends. And anyway, that's about all we did.
It's actually substantial. And it's been nice, the way the advisory committee sort of taking on the operational goals of the library and reviewing what we've accomplished and what we haven't accomplished.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much. Next is comments by board members. You have a mandatory, is that what? Go ahead.
I have a couple. The first one is that in Capitola, we intend to review kind of conceptual framework for naming policy for the new Capitola branch on June 22nd, obviously operating within the policy of the overall larger libraries which we've adopted. The large question for us comes down to, there seemed to be a real consensus in the community about naming rooms within the facility, naming particularly significant fixtures, but not naming every chair. The contentious item has come down to whether or not the building itself could be named. And there's different viewpoints on that, and that's going to be something the council is going to get the opportunity to weigh in on. Related to that is the funding gap that we have. We currently have a $13.1 million project, and everyone will recall that we have about $10.6 million between the Measure S funds and then the city's RDA set aside that the county is holding for us in trust. Which leaves a funding gap of about $3 million, the last $2.5 million. This current budget that the city is preparing to adopt includes an allocation of general fund resources towards the library of $1 million, which closes the funding gap to $1.5 million. So the city is committed to making this library happen. But I would like to request that in a future agenda for this board that we talk a little bit about the construction of new libraries and some of the fund balance. Can we put some of the fund balance towards increased hours? But whether or not we can talk about helping to close those gaps for, I know that some of the other libraries are coming in more expensive than originally planned because the cost that we estimated for all the libraries was several years ago, the cost have increased significantly. So it would be a request for a future agenda item when possible this summer.
Do you have a fundraising board?
So we do have a fundraising committee. A Capitola Friends Group has formed and is working closely with the larger Friends Group. And they are, at this point, kind of waiting to find out whether or not the building name is in play or not. Because if the building name is in play, the fundraising target potentially increases significantly. If we're just talking about rooms, it's probably a different sort of target.
Would you like someone from the library to be here on the 22nd?
I think that could be helpful. There's different perspectives, and the questions that the library might be asked is about the pros and cons of naming the building, not the branch. The branch is the Capitola branch, but the building. I think that's where the controversy would arise.
Other proposals for names, or is this just the concept?
The concept, if someone was willing to step up with $1 million donation, so for example, the city of Santa Cruz, I know, or through the Tannery Arts Project, a theater,
Right,
a color theater, was named in the sort of $1 million range when you look around and name facilities around the county, either the Cabrillo, the Culligan Theater, that kind of tends to be the range. But I don't have $1 million donor in my back pocket. If anyone does, please see me after the meeting. And you too could have your name on the building on Capitola. A beautiful new library. That's all I have.
Well, I definitely agree that having a conversation about the costs and gaps is a good idea. So I think it's going to be something everyone's challenge.
So we'll put something, a preliminary conversation on in August, if everyone's comfortable with that.
Yeah. Other comments? Board members? Yeah, we on that topic, we had even before the bond measure was past, we anticipated a gap for the downtown branch in particular, around 7 to 8 million. In any case, but that's probably also ground for the downtown branch. Although ironically, the gap is smaller if we build new than if we remodel. So that'll be an interesting conversation in terms of the community process when we look at the options between a remodel branch versus a brand new branch. Bigger branch. That's going to be very soon, but we'll get there when we get through the process. Okay. Are there any comments from the public on this item? Comments on comments?
I don't think you have to take that.
All right. Okay, then we move on to the consent calendar. There's 5 items. Someone wants to report any items on the consent calendar? Yes.
Just one quick question. I know we talked a little bit about adopting some sort of gifting policy last week. If we had a gifting policy, would items D and E no longer be on our agenda?
Potentially, yes.
Depending on what policy. Okay.
Correct.
That's
And I
fine.
apologize, we just don't feel like that one was going to turn around in a month. So we're not at a place where we felt we had recommendations because we needed to do more work with both the Friends and some of the city and county concerns.
Thank you.
Is there any member of the public that would like to comment on an item on the consent calendar? No? Okay, so with that, entertain a motion.
Move consent.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. So, that passes unanimously. Next is general business. First item is American Library Association guiding policy.
And these are something we've traditionally had as part of our board policies. This is an updated version of the ALA guiding statements. We talked about them last month. So my hope is that you would approve them to be part of the Santa Cruz Public Library's board policy.
Okay. Are there any questions from the members on the policies?
I guess my only other question is how many other public libraries have adopted this policy?
I would say it's a common practice to do so.
Thank you.
All of them.
I'm sure we can find one that has.
I'm sure we
I'm satisfied with the vast majority.
All right. Again, clearly they're all laid out in our packet here. Okay, are there any questions about it? Any comments from the public on this item? Any comments? No? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion. For a second? Second. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And then finally, the last substantive item at least is item 11A, which is the FY 17-18 budget. Susan?
So, we provided you a budget last month. And again, I want to say that because we've changed our chart of accounts, and this is our first year of trying to use the budget system of the city, the budget reports actually kind of come out a mess because this year's fiscal year's chart of account is so different from next year's chart of accounts that no comparisons can be made between the two of them. And although one of my hopes was to move away from Excel spreadsheets and use accounting systems for reporting, we were really unable to do that this year because of the dramatic change in our chart of accounts. So really, I think we're going to talk from this worksheet, and to be honest, we gave you an updated version of it. Nicole gave us some feedback that I think was helpful. Really, I think on the new spreadsheet that we gave you, what we want to compare is the 2016, 2017 adjusted column against our proposed 2017, 2018 budget. There are very few changes. There are no changes really in revenue between last month and this month. One of the places that we did make changes between last month and this month was in our detailed analysis of personnel costs. We end up splitting a lot of individual people across cost centers because people may work in 2 branches, or they may work part-time in the admin shop and in a branch. And it does affect in the accounting system where they show up in terms of regular part-time and not overtime, and regular full-time. And so there's just some changes, but you can see they don't net remarkably different when you look at the 2 line items together. I'm just trying to think. The things we talked about last month was we did some reductions in our technology infrastructure costs, primarily by utilizing better spending practices rather than substantive changes in the amount of technology that we're buying. One of the things we wanted to do in this latest spreadsheet is show the $1 million that you allocated 3 months ago in the estimated year-end expenditure columns. And then one of the practices that Nicole helped us think through was we had in the very second to the last line applied the reserve of $400,000. But she said, really, you're only going to use the amount of reserve that is needed, that's left over, the net amount. And so you see that practice has been changed. So instead of using the $400,000, we'll be using $381,000. If you look at the March 17th report, it does show the fund balance at the end of March as being about $2.9 million. We don't expect it to be necessarily that high, but again, an unrestricted fund balance of $2.5 million plus this fully funds our reserve of 15%. We are very much finishing the year in the black. Jean.
So, just because it's where you ended, so the fund balance ending March, that's the 2.9 million. That's on a cash basis. I'm looking at you, Marcus. That's on a cash basis, so that's not, it's not a fund balance, that's just simply the cash in the library
It
fund.
would include accruals, so it means predominantly a cash basis flow of cash flow, but it includes accruals and they do the accounts receivable to be that.
Do you have estimated actuals for the next 2 payments, sales tax payments that'll be coming in this fiscal year that
No.
haven't been received yet?
The amounts we're seeing there are as of March.
Okay.
So there's nothing.
So it's not an estimated actual year ending, it's just where we're sitting?
Correct.
Okay. And another question about the change in the PERS module. I see a $287,000 increase in the retirement contribution. It's a 25% increase. Help me understand what's going on there.
We asked about that too.
I can imagine the county would ask about
But
that.
they don't answer.
Hop in a car and drive to Sacramento.
So I mean, is this to,
That's across the board. The city's increases are on average. That's the increases we as the city are facing in next year's cost allocation. As you probably know, and I don't know if I should be standing. As you probably know, this particular budget year was their new allocation model for CalPERS, where they're taking our prior payments, splitting it in half, and now you have a half variable and half fixed. And that fixed is a large portion. So
this is the UAL? This is
this
just
is the
payment?
UAL and the ongoing normal costs and finding.
And this is the ramp up on the UAL is 287, and that's, so it's not a change in your methodology, this is just the CalPERS change.
Yes.
And we're gonna see that every year
Yeah,
for the next.
this first year of that new platform, that new tier, or that new cost base, is this big step, but you should expect 20% 25% increases year to year for the next 5 years, depending on what happens in the PERS investment portfolio. They've earned
Discount rate.
0.6% and 2.4% the last 2 years, and they expected 7.25%. So they are far off their mark. This year is trending better. But every time they're short, you're going to see more pressure pushing that up. You'll see pressure with demographic changes. You'll see pressure with their amortization schedules. You'll see pressure as they're resetting their gnarly
Yeah, it's depressing.
change. And there's opportunity this because I'll go on. This could be a study session. Pensions.
Yeah.
You know, the city's very actively looking at how we can pay down some of the amortization components and reduce significantly future rates. So as the city looks at that, the libraries we're putting it together would benefit from that. Very much like the library benefits when we make our annual payment up front. There's a discount rate from that.
So we are prepaying?
Yes. It math has made sense for the last 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yeah, we do it as well. Unfortunately, my understanding is that CalPERS has changed the way that they will basically take prepayment on that UAL, and rather than simply, let's just say hypothetically, your UAL, I don't know if you guys know this, I need to tell you, but it's depressing. Because in Capitola, we're looking at we're looking at a $16 million total UAL between our various plans. I asked the question, so what if I write a check for $16 million? Because that looks a lot easier to deal with than what I got. And the answer was, well, actually, they would just accrue that to your payments that would be due over the next 30 years, which is a lot more than $16 million, and you'd still end up paying. It's a wrap.
Other questions related to the budget?
One more? That's right. Go ahead. So I see that the books and periodicals we're down a little bit. Help me understand.
And so our methodology is meant to do 8% of revenues. And so this is 8% of revenues, but when you look at the adjusted 2016, 2017, that has been adjusted for actual expenditures, which include things like carry forward from the year before. And we did do a change to one of our bequests, and we got an interpretation that articulated the uses for the bequest more broadly than we had traditionally. And so we're using it more broadly than we had traditionally as well. Kira Hennepin is our budget master. Kira, do you have any other things you want to say about that category?
Yeah, I would look at the 16, 17 adopted.
Yes.
Yeah, so we just did the adjusted incorporates that carryover from the previous year.
And we will do that again. This year, we'll do that annually. It is the one line item you're allowed to carry forward year to year. And we have, because of the $300,000, not been able to spend all of that. We will have a relatively large carry forward.
But you've done a good job of spending it. I know for a fact, because I put in a suggestion on the online platform, and lo and behold, the book showed up. Your system.
I'm very pleased.
It works. What did I try to say? No, I want to buy books.
I do have to say, it is making a difference.
Yeah. Well,
It's
my
really
son
well
now was able to check out the Lemony Snicket book 4. You guys now have it.
And we're really able to reduce our waiting list for items, which
That's what I think.
So one request related to this is I see that and probably appropriately so, the revenue projection on sales tax is relatively conservative. And, I don't know that we've traditionally done, well, I don't know that we have a tradition at this point on this board, but in Capitola, we traditionally do kind of a mid-year check-in on the budget, and maybe if we can do a mid-year check-in on the budget and we'll update the revenue projections at that point with sales tax, because it does move around so much, that this could be an item that we could look at if sales tax outperforms our assumptions.
Yeah, we do a video also.
thank you. We'll be happy to do that.
Okay, looks like you
With
pretty
that-
much covered all the major changes. Any other questions?
Just thank you for incorporating some of the
Oh, yeah.
changes and updating the fund balance to the ending operational surplus or deficit.
And we'll really thank you, you're all teaching us some really important habits and skills, and so it's helping us manage our business better, so we're appreciative.
Yeah. And one other comment I did have, this is sort of, I don't know, but in the budget document, which is great, we're gonna have a budget document. But the fiscal year 18 goals, we talk about transformative spaces. And I was thinking transformative in developing new spaces, because that seems like a really important thing that we're gonna be doing this next year.
I think we felt it encompassed that. I think it's going to be a huge thing we're doing for the next 8.
Yeah.
Is really transforming our spaces. And creating new ones. I just want to thank you. This is my 12th JPA meeting, and I'm very grateful for the leadership you've all shown and for the privilege of this job, because it's been really, really fun. And I feel like it's been a very satisfying year. I feel like we've accomplished a great deal. With that, I would love you to pass the budget. We can move on to many other good things this fall.
You didn't think last year's process was fun?
I thought that was interesting.
Has it been 12, really?
That is my 12th meeting.
But you're not counting.
Well, thanks, Susan. I appreciate it.
As part of the mid-year, which Jamie brought up in terms of maybe updating sales tax, it would be good to, since you do have a new chart of accounts, at mid-year to look at that and to see where spending is across in those new areas. So maybe we could have a mid-year report back to kind of look at what's happening in the new chart of accounts and how we're spending the funds, along with the kind of look at the revenues.
Look at your schedule. And then I do have one thing after we close our meeting that I want to say.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to make sure everybody has good questions and comments, and I'll turn it over to the public. Is there any questions or comments from members of the public or staff out there? None? Okay, with that, go ahead and entertain a motion.
I would move approval with the addition to have a mid-year update around January to discuss or take a look at the revenues and the expenses in the new chart of accounts.
Can we just say January?
Thanks.
If your board meetings are traditionally the first week of January, that is perhaps
Sure, maybe February.
Don't we usually, well, we meet usually mid-January for the first of the year, but February would be
I mean,
fine.
you'll want recommendations.
Yeah.
You want to have
I-
a close 6 months, that will be balanced year.
So February is fine with me.
That's when we usually do our meeting.
Yeah.
We do too.
Okay. Okay. That's the motion. Is there a second? Second. All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, that passes unanimously. Congratulations. Thanks. All right. And then, Susan, the next scheduled upcoming meeting is August 3rd. And Susan, we have
I was hoping Susan would be here, but I'm sure she's being feted all over the place. We just wanted to say thank you to her, and I hope you'll
I will pass that along.
our good wishes to her. She's been a leader in making the library system and the JPA work, and we could have done it without her. So we're very grateful, and we hope she has much success.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your retirement.
I will pass along the message and the gift.
Okay, with that, we're adjourned.